In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between tech sales and sales engineering. Both of these terms have the word sales in it. So what is the difference? Today, I want to talk about roles and responsibilities, how these roles work together, salary, and then career progression. Let me start by saying that tech sales and sales engineering are typically found in a specific type of company. Companies that sell software, typically B2B, meaning from a company to another company. Examples may be Microsoft, Salesforce, HubSpot, or MailChimp. A sales rep either receives what is called inbound sales. So when someone, for example, downloads PDF online, a report, or goes on a landing page and asks for a demo, the sales team receives this message or this inquiry, and then they typically start a conversation with that company to understand if they would be a good fit to buy that software. Can also do outbound sales. This means that they do cold calls or they write to people on LinkedIn to try and find the new prospects that are not coming to them. So a sales reps typically, when they engage with potential clients, the type of conversations that they have is more around the value of the product, the positioning, so why the product is better than other competitors' products, the pricing of the product. So they may also engage in things like price negotiations, rate reviews, and things like that. And they also engage in contracting. So in a later phase, when the deal is almost closed, they're also responsible for making sure that the contract is signed. This means that they typically have what they're called quotas, so sales targets effectively that they need to hit every month. So the work of a sales rep is typically very numbers driven. Every quarter, there is a cycle where you will get your numbers that you need to hit, and then you need to work either finding new prospect, qualifying them, working with them, make sure they sign, or finding yourself kind of in some outbound activity, finding some new prospects and make sure they sign. You need to be someone that is able to have some rapport with clients, someone that is very good with communication skills. You're able to articulate very well what is the value proposition of your product or your solution that you're selling. You also need to be extremely organized, because if you need to hit your numbers, you need to make sure you have enough leads in the pipeline. Not all opportunities are going to close. So you always need to make sure you have enough in the works that then you're going to hit your numbers at the end of the quarter. Your salary will depend on your performance, and it's a very objective performance. Either it's number of deals or it's revenue based. You have a base salary, and then you have a bigger percentage of variable salary, which depends on your specific performance. What happens is that if you hit 100, you get a certain number, but then it goes up. So there is a certain multiplier, the more you go up from your number. So let's say if you do 110%, 120%, your salary can grow almost infinitely. It's a very well rewarded job. In a tech company, honestly, it could be almost as well paid, if not better paid, than engineering jobs like a software developer. So it's a job that I would definitely consider. It's a quite stressful job, I have to say, because you have to be very organized. You always have numbers to hit, and you have a lot of responsibility, right? Because your performance is being tracked. But it's a job that can be extremely rewarding, especially if you are good at it. Let's now talk about what is called sales engineering or solution engineering. I have actually a video where I go much more in depth as to what a sales engineer or solutions engineer does. But let's now talk about how these two roles work together. A sales engineer or solutions engineer is still in the sales team. They still work on closing deals, but they have a slightly different role. They are typically a role of a consultant that supports the sales reps in specific types of opportunities, in specific type of deals. These are typically the deals that are more complex. From a technical perspective, it requires a lot of work in understanding how to integrate different systems together, how to migrate data. It could be complex from a business perspective. There are many new things that need to be done, many new activities. I work in e-commerce. Let's say there is a brand that comes to us and say, okay, I want to do subscriptions. I've never done them in my life. This is a brand new activity that the brand is doing. We need to understand how that integrates and incorporates that activity with the other activities that the brand is doing in that moment. That's typically where a solution engineer or a sales engineer comes in, and they try and understand, okay, what are all the systems that they're using? what other journeys or customer workflows already exist, and how can we incorporate this new activity in the best possible way. A solution engineer is also helpful to support this type of conversations when it comes to industry expertise. They have a good understanding of what are the trends of the industry. They have a good understanding of how competitive products position. They know the intricacy of the products, what are the limitations of the product they are selling compared to other products. They may have a couple of areas of expertise also when it comes to that specific product. So they may be subject matter experts in some vertical areas around the product. Solutions engineers get involved not in every deal, but in just the more strategic, more complex. What are the skills that a solution engineer needs to have? Knowing the product, all the intricacies, the limitations, the strength. They need to know how the product is evolving, taking feedback from the product team, knowing what's coming, but also giving feedback to the product team in terms of what are the gaps that are making us lose deals. They need to be much more technically savvy, have at least a baseline technical knowledge when it comes to APIs, data migration, and then some specificity depending on the specific industry that you work on. They need to have some craft-related skills. These are things around demoing the product, solutioning, so being able to put all the pieces together in a cohesive solution. From a compensation perspective, the variable part of the compensation is much lower compared to what sales reps have, because ultimately it's sales reps that they have complete ownership on how that deal is going to go. And they're going to be the ultimate decision makers, the ones that hold the relationship with the client, typically the business part of the client, whereas the solutions engineers hold the relationship with the technical side, the CTO, for example. It is not uncommon to have companies where it's a 70-30 split, where 30% of the variable part is related to how you perform on deals, and then 70% is a base salary. So I would say both of these roles are extremely exciting, and there is a very high demand for these roles. The potential for growth is really big. Both of these roles have an individual contributor component. You can do your entire career being an individual contributor, sales rep or a senior sales rep, and a sales engineer or a senior sales engineer. And you can do so well in your career just focusing on becoming better at that specific craft. Or you could also decide to go into management, lead a team of individual contributors. In both of these disciplines, there is a very strong craft component. And if you love the job that you're doing, you can become and you can be super successful as an individual contributor. Personally, I'm a sales engineer and I love it. I love talking to clients. I love diving deeper into the product and the industry trends. So I could do this for my entire life. There is a point where some people love to change gear a little bit and they start wanting to coach and educate, and they want to take a little bit of a step back and focusing on personal growth of teams, leadership opportunity, etc. But you don't have to do that. There are so many companies where you can have a great career just from an individual contribution perspective. I don't want to give you specific compensation numbers. This varies so much by location, by seniority level, by company. So perhaps if you're interested in that, we can do another video looking at salaries. But just know that these are two extremely well-paid positions in B2B SaaS companies. So good luck job hunting. Let me know if there is anything else that you'd like me to cover. And I'll see you in the next video.